Hi, Blue Shirt fans. This is Jennifer Streeter once again with Blue Line Station. We are coming at y'all live as it's the first period against Philadelphia, where we are recording episode 2 of the Blue Line Report. As always, I'm here with my co-host Jake, and we have a special guest of Hannah Ang, Blue Line Station's on-camera reporter, who we're so excited to have on. So I'm going to turn it over to them to see if they have any introductions before we dive into all things New York Rangers news.
Yeah, hey guys, welcome back to episode 2. I'm gonna keep it short because as you guys know, I talk a lot. Hannah, thank you for coming on to us. We'll throw it to you in a second. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say until we actually start talking. I'll put it like that.
Okay, mysterious.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Ng. I'm the girl that does the on-site interviews at MSG. And yeah, the fans, I'm just going to say they're quite mad. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but so excited to be here for episode 2 because this is such a good podcast.
Okay, awesome. So we are going to dive right into an unfortunate topic, but a topic that is important. We covered nonetheless the mathematics of still making the playoffs. So as Blue Shirt fans are well aware, after the 5-1 loss against Tampa Bay, that math is certainly not in the New York Rangers' favor. I think Johnny post game against Tampa summed it up pretty well, where he said, I think we just got to win out right now. It's no longer a waiting it out kind of thing where we win a game and we're waiting to see what other teams do. We need to win out and then we need help too. It sucks to be in this position. None of us wanted to be in it, but it sucks. So, I mean, there's really no other better way to sum it up than that. I'll turn it over to Jake to see if he wants to give y'all a little bit more of the numbers of where the race for the wild card is.
Yeah, for sure. So I did some digging. It's not a lot of digging, so let me just get into it. MoneyPuck.com has the Rangers at a 1.5% chance to make the postseason. The Montreal Canadiens, who currently hold the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference, 96.8%. Tankathon.com, if you're going off remaining strength of the schedule, the Rangers have the 12th hardest schedule, including games at Tampa Bay, who they just lost 5-1 to, Carolina, who they're 0-3 against this season, and the Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champions, they're at full health now. Montreal, one of the easiest schedules. They get the Ottawa Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs both on the road. That's tough. But then they get the Chicago Blackhawks and Carolina Hurricanes, both games that probably don't matter. If the Rangers max out, which means they go 5-0, including winning this game, which they are while we're recording this, they finish at 89 points. They need Montreal to go 1-3-0 or 2 points. The Rangers do have the regulation wins tiebreaker right now. And that is pretty much the math. So mathematically, not mathematically, it's not looking good. Um, yeah, I could start us off with that. Like, it's bad. Like, I genuinely don't know how to describe this Rangers season. And I'm sorry if I'm going to go on a
Hey,
tangent here
I
for a
have a
second.
really good analogy for that though. So
Good.
I
Good.
wrote this in one of my Blue Line Station articles, but I truly like this is so cliche, but this season has just been a roller coaster. Like not only for fans, which Hannah will dig into later, but like for the players and for the media, like it truly is a roller coaster. Like they would have winning streaks and then it would just straight plummet like a straight drop.
Hmm.
Or they would do like a loop-de-loop where it's like they can't get it together and there's a series of there's wins and then there's a loss thrown in there. Like it really, the best analogy I have for this season is the roller coaster. I will play devil's advocate to you, Jake, in that like there are teams with like I feel a 0% chance of making the playoffs. So like it's still mathematically possible. Like it could still happen. It's not going to, but there is still a 1.5% chance. So, Hannah, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it is a minuscule. It's like a glimmer of hope. Like as the fan and like a writer, like you really do want to see New York become like go into the playoffs. Like I'm waiting for them to drop the Instagram post saying like we are in because last year, like I just wrote an article today and I put like a Twitter of all of them right before like they got into Eastern Conference. Like I'm waiting for that energy to come back in New York because when I was at MSG just like a couple days ago, it's so dead. The fans are like so disappointed. It's really bad. Like we'll all like sing and it's like fun at MSG, but like the actual hockey, it's silent. Everyone is like, ooh, this is like really bad. So not happy. I wish I'm hoping they get into it, but it's not looking good for them.
Okay.
Y-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a Rangers fan and someone that's covered the team for a while, you obviously hope they get in. Because there are a few possibilities, right? Nobody wants to play Igor Shesterkin in the playoffs. This team did make the Eastern Conference Finals 2 out of the last 3 years, and I doubt Washington will want to play them because the Rangers have scored against them. But the
Mhm.
bottom line is the Rangers just do they deserve to be in? I feel like the best tweet I saw was from it was either Joe Fortunato or Greg Kaplan. Shout out both of them. And it's not the losses now that hurt. It's the losses in November and December.
Oh my God,
And I
that's
was
so
gonna come
true.
on going on a full tangent on this, but then I watched what happened over the past few days when they get shut out by New Jersey
Four
without
to
Jack
oh, four to
Bobby
zero.
Hamilton. And then against Tampa Bay, look, the Rangers came out flying. They came out as the better team. They got more shots on goal, blah, 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 blah. Tampa Bay scores 3 goals in a minute 45. And Ice Cold Takes, I'll shout out them too because they retweeted me. There are so many losses in this Rangers season that you can go, if they didn't lose that, they could be in. But the bottom line is they lost all of the big ones. Like at Ottawa, 3-1 lead, blew it in overtime. Seattle, 7 goals against a bad offensive team. Like, I'm not going to go list off every loss. There have been some terrible ones. And what I'm going to say, like, you just can't trust them. This team, they don't deserve to be in because the one more thing I'm going to add, we're 10 months removed from the Rangers winning the President's Trophy. We're 10 months removed from the Rangers leading the NHL in comeback wins with 28. We're 10 months removed from Chris Kreider putting the team on his back to beat Carolina in the second round, scoring a natural hat trick that only Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier did. And now we're sitting here, and the Rangers are going to be the fourth team ever to miss the playoffs after winning the President's Trophy the year before. And the bottom line is they don't deserve it because of all the losses they had. I'm sorry, I just went on a tangent, but I've been holding that in.
No, no, I love
I
it. And
love
you
that.
know what? Like, we'll use that tangent to piggyback into our next segment, which I also want to throw a tangent about. So let's talk about the Peter Laviolette quote like
Laviolette.
that like everyone is talking about. And that was where post game after Tampa Bay, he said, I don't have a message right now. I don't go into the locker room after the game. Like he said that in his post game presser, and like all of the fans like immediately like jumped on that and like used that as further fuel for the Fire LaViolette train. Um, I think it that does come as a bit of a shock that he admitted that he doesn't address his team post locker room game. I do want to like again be sort of positive and like I question if whether he meant it like for every single game, like that's just a policy he does, or whether he meant like after a loss. Because as someone who's worked in sports media for years and who's even worked for like I worked for SMU athletics and like that's a, like there are NCAA coaches who like that is a policy that they have is just that like after a really tough loss that they just let the players work it out. So I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on that. I think that like if that's a policy LaViolette has where he just doesn't go into the locker room and lets the players like work that out and kind of like talk amongst themselves or like digest it on their own only after losses, like I don't necessarily think that should be fuel for like the Fire LaViolette movement. However, if that is like him coming out and saying like I never go in the locker room, like the audacity, like why? Like I as like a fan and as a member of the media and someone who's worked like side by side with coaches and with players, like how damaging that is to a team would be insane. So like I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on like what specifically you guys think he meant by that.
Do you want to go first, Jake, or should I?
You got this.
I'm ready because I saw this all over Twitter and I am seeing like, yeah, the fans are pissed. But I see one point of view. Okay, so if he goes in, like in general, like we don't know the backstory. If he goes in when like they win, but if he doesn't go in when they lose, I feel like it is like the worst like type of like punishment to the players to be like, yeah, you guys suck tonight. I'm disgraced to even go in the locker room and be your coach. Like he probably like has a severed moment where he's like, I don't even want to be coached. Like this is so embarrassing. But if he's like doing it just because of that game, like, and not just for losses, it's like giving pout. Like, it's giving like just I'm not mature enough to like handle these boys that are like not doing well because either he's gonna like blow up or he's embarrassed for himself and his pride is just knocked down because everyone is like, just being so rude about him on Twitter. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna make as big of a deal on this topic as a lot of Rangers Twitter does because Rangers Twitter loves making big deals out of everything. Everybody goes to the Peter Laviolette speech from 2010 with the Flyers where he was yelling at them and he goes like, "You better wake the F up," blah 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 blah. And they're just like, he needs to instill this mentality in the Rangers because they need to wake up. He's not the only coach that doesn't go into the locker room after games. First off, he shouldn't have said that. Peter Laviolette is the winningest American head coach of all time, or he's up there. You don't say that to the media, especially when it's going to get formulated like that. A lot of coaches don't go into the locker room immediately after the games. That's what he meant. And I think this speaks a lot to the Rangers leadership core. Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Vincent Trocheck. I could throw Artemi Panarin in there, but he doesn't speak English. Adam Fox, whatever you want. Peter Laviolette, if he really doesn't go into the locker room after the games, which I believe that's only immediately after, I guarantee he talks to them a few hours after in the facility, blah, 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 blah. The Rangers core that has been through multiple playoff runs and has been together for so long, that falls on them if they're not going to wake up. And look, I'm not going to say Peter Laviolette should stay. I'm actually very, very he should go, and I have sources saying he should go that I won't name. Um, yeah, but this is a Rangers core thing too, and it falls on them as much as it falls on Laviolette.
That's a
And
really good point, Jake. I didn't think about it in the sense of like it being an entrustment to like the leaders in the locker room. That's a really good point and something I
that's
didn't.
what. And sorry to interrupt you. I just think this goes back to the summer too when Barclay Goodrow got traded, and I think anybody, whether you're a Ranger fan, Ranger journalist, hockey fan, blah blah blah, you knew Barclay Goodrow was going. He's a $3.6 million cap hit. He had a great postseason, and that might have created an illusion to people. He was always going to be gone. Like us three can all agree, you're not paying $4 million for a third liner or fourth liner, excuse me. But the way the Rangers did it, it clearly upset Barclay Goodrow, and he said that when he came back to New York early on with San Jose. And then same thing with Jacob Trouba. And the way the Rangers captain, the person that a lot of people in that locker room, no matter how bad Jacob Trouba was at times, would cut their limb off for him to get traded that way so abruptly, that definitely upset people too. And now you have a fractured core without a captain, and your assistant captains, Mika Zibanejad's not playing well, Chris Kreider's injured, Adam Fox is too young and has said no to the captain position. It's just like, what do you do, you know?
I will say, like, I do think that even though Kreider's injured, like, I still think that even when a player's injured, they still have the capability to be a leader in the locker room.
Absolutely. Fully
oh,
agree
that
with that. And I'm surprised he's not.
Yeah,
that's
but
not an excuse at all.
yeah. I guess another like hot topic we can talk about is Gabe Perreault being a healthy scratch against the Flyers. Like that came out right before the game started, after we saw his debut and his rookie lap, which Hannah talked to the fans about. Definitely curious to get y'all's thoughts on that. We actually had one of our other contributors, Marvin, talk about this in one of his pregame articles, where he kind of touched on how LaViolette was asked by the media if there was any increased urgency to assess Gabe because he's only here for so many games. And his answer, his quote exactly was no, period. When we go back and look at the game, coaches sit down and go through things with him. I think it's a learning process for young players, whether it be practice, games, video watching, could be a combination of all of it. Big step coming out of college and right into a lineup, which is true. Like, this is definitely, Gabe's only 19 years old. So that is true that this is a big step for him. But I don't know. Like, at this point, they have a 1% chance of making the playoffs. So I don't necessarily feel confident in saying that Gabe being a healthy scratch was absolutely necessary. Like, at this point, like, what do you have to lose by putting your trust in the younger players in the future of the franchise?
I have some thoughts on this actually. As much as we love the veterans, I did a piece like a while ago talking about if the veterans should go or like get some new players for basically saying we're not getting into the playoffs for next season. And like the veterans, they're like great names for the team and everything, but like they're not playing well. Like we have one injured, and like a lot of them just aren't playing well. They're just relying on that name in the back to be like the veteran. So I don't get why they scratched Gabe Pro because like when he debuted, we won like that wild game. So like I mean, anyone who's not even into hockey can be like, okay, well, we brought this new guy in and we won. So why would we take away this new guy?
Yeah,
Like
and
he
picking
was
back on
so
that, Hannah,
yeah,
like we won because Gabe had an impact on that game. Like it wasn't just like a superstition thing
totally
where it's like we won because Gabe was in. Like you saw him making a valiant effort like in the zones. You saw like the shots that he did put up and you saw like the assists he would have had if some of those veterans that you mentioned like followed through on those goals.
right. Yeah, like everything about that game was set up for him to like what he gave to the ice. He gave it his all, and it's like the other players can contribute what he was giving. But he's this fresh, like new blood to the team. He's young and he's fresh out of college, like a great college that's like amazing for hockey. So it's weird that they're kind of like scratching him, trying to be like, oh yeah, maybe we'll get a win now. But like it's definitely not like taking him out isn't gonna get you to win. Like playing good hockey will get you to win, but they can't seem to do that either. So
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I've been very cynical on this podcast and I'll keep it going. Like this goes back to the Rangers' problem with developing youth, and you see it all over the place. And all these Rangers guys who have potential, the Capo Cacos, the Philip Hedels, the Alexi Lafrenières, the Brennan Othmans, nobody has turned out to be a superstar yet. Lafreniere, we saw it, we saw the potential, but you can't call him that yet. And now you have Gabe Perreault, 130 points in 60 games in the U.S. development system. One of the best players in college hockey. And you have 7 games on an entry level contract, and the year's going to be burned. Look, I'm not going to be the person that goes like, oh, they're wasting his contract because college players have all the leverage. That's just the way it goes. What I will say, you can't argue with me that Gabe Perreault doesn't make the Rangers a less skilled team. And with all the scoring problems that the Rangers top six has had, they've scored 1 goal in their past 2 games. Chris Kreider, 1 power play goal. Mika Zibanejad has not had a good season. With all the problems that this Rangers top six has had this season, outside of maybe Artemi Panarin and JT Miller, what does taking one of your most skilled players, even if he's young, out of the lineup when you have virtually nothing to play for, going to do? It just doesn't do anything because anytime he gets a step on the ice, that's more experience, especially if New York projects him to be a top six winger next year, which they should because he's an absolute superstar. And I will argue that with anyone because there's a reason why he thrived in college. And there's a reason why his line mate, Ryan Leonard, is thriving with the Capitals and is going to play meaningful playoff games. And there's a reason why his other line mate, James Higgins, is going to be the #1 pick in the draft. So it just doesn't make sense to me, and it's a major theme. The Rangers don't develop youngsters, and they're playing for nothing right now. Look, there's a 1% chance. It's zero. Like I'm sorry for being cynical. You just can't trust them. So develop the youth. Let Gabe Perreault get a few goals, a few points, more ice time, and see what happens. Wow, sorry, I'm angry
No,
today,
like
guys.
period.
I loved that. I want to be like, period, slam. Like, oh my gosh, that was so good.
No, like let's end the
Love for the
episode there,
win.
guys. Like that's all we needed to say.
I'll clip it.
Um, I guess we can go into keeping up with the Rempies, our annual, our weekly our weekly segment. Not much to talk about, guys. We did see him finally return to the ice after being put on week to week status due to, the undisclosed upper body injury, which was likely sustained during, the California road trip. One thing that I did find interesting was that in his return to the ice, like during his play against Tampa, he had a total ice time of 10:07. And I did the math where like I looked back on his previous TOIs, and his high this season was 12:08 on March 9th against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And when you think about it, 10:07 in terms of like times of shifts and overall time, like that is not that far off. So I did think that was pretty interesting that like he's fresh off being on week to week status and he put up over 10 minutes. So I did think that was interesting.
Do we also add to the Rempe's?
Yes,
I
yes.
thought this
You
was a
can if you
genuine.
want.
She's very territorial with her Rempe
No,
stuff.
no. Jake, clip that out. We can't say them territory. No, like y'all, yes,
We'll
go.
clip it out. I'm sorry.
I got you. Hannah, you want to start us off, or I can? I don't have too much to add
Um,
really,
yeah,
but
there wasn't a lot. I mean, there was like a baby fight on the ice at MSG like when I went for Tampa Bay Lightning, but like the ref was like took it away. Like it seems like they're just like kind of they know that Rempe's not like a huge deal right now. Like they're like we can't deal with this fight, so they're just push it aside, push it under the carpet. Let me deal with something else. But yeah, not much to say about Rempe. Maybe we should talk about the Lafreniere vocal infraction. I think it was the vocal thing.
Oh my God, that was
I'd
so
love I'd love to talk about that. Yeah.
Ooh, good,
Yeah.
Jake. Bring it on.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like it's the same thing that you see across all the leagues. Like he hurt the ref's feelings. Oh no. On Rempe though, I think the thing that we're seeing, I think he got 10 minutes because the game was 5-1. But all of Rangers Twitter, I keep going back to them. Rempe only plays 5 minutes a game, so he shouldn't be in the lineup. He's a lineup casualty, whatever. We could ditch any of that because Matt Rempe has totally solidified himself as an NHL bottom sixer. He's a restricted free agent. The Rangers are going to re-sign him. He's going to be in their opening day lineup or opening night because he has become a legitimate NHLer. He's skating better, he's producing better. Like he hasn't been scoring, but at the same time, like half the stuff you hear about the criticisms of Matt Rempe, they come from Devils and Islanders fans. And Devils and Islanders fans, if you're listening to this, Matt Rempe had more goals than both your teams in the 2024 playoffs. So remember that. He's just going to keep developing and yeah, no, teams are scared of him. They are. You see it every night.
I mean, yeah, he's like a baby giraffe on the ice. He's scary. Like he's so tall. Like it's crazy. And seeing with your own eyes, like you could spot Rempe so easily.
I also think like yes, he's getting re-signed because he's solidified himself in the league, but you just look at how much attention he brings to the Rangers franchise overall. Like people like to talk about him. People just it's
Hmm.
as human beings, it's in our nature to talk about someone who's viewed as controversial and get that coverage. And at the end of the day, like fans of the sport like to see the fighting, and he brings that to the Rangers. So, yes, they're going to re-sign him because he deserves to be there and because he solidified himself in that spot, but also just from a financial standpoint for the franchise, if they didn't re-sign him, they would lose money from the fan base. Like hot take, maybe, but like I truly think just like he does bring in the excitement from the fans. Like how many times at MSG do you hear them chanting Rempe, right? Like a lot. Even when he like they will do that not even if he scores, but just if he fights. So I just think that he's a fun guy and the Rangers are obviously gonna re-sign him.
Yeah, they'll literally do that if he skates. They'll cheer for him. And the Rangers need people like that, especially in a year where there's been very little energy. And Yeah, he'll be fine. And they're gonna pay him like $1 million, so he won't be a cap casualty. So we'll get that out the window too to anybody that thinks he will be.
He's a good advertising for the Rangers. Like keeps the New York Rangers like just in the topic of everyone's like sports news. Everyone's talking about him all the time.
Score! Wow. Mika Zibanejad! It's a power play goal, and it's 6-2 Rangers.
We'll quickly hand it over to Jake for him to do. You want to do your weekly Sam Rosen?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't have too much besides the fact that while this game is going on right now, TNT with a classy move putting Sam Rosen and John Davison back in the booth. The two were together calling Rangers games from 1986 to 2006. I wasn't alive to see most of that. John Davidson, great Rangers goalie, not the best GM, but he made some good moves. I'll give him that. But highly urge people to watch the highlights and just cherish Sam Rosen, because if there's one thing that we need to say from this season, it's Sam Rosen. And yeah, I'd love to hear you guys talk about that. But besides that, I don't really have too much else. I wish he had more it's a power play goals, but bottom line is the Rangers' power play has been dreadful. It was cool seeing MSG do that the other night, though, when Mika Zibanejad scored the power play goal and they played it before. So that's going to be a cool thing that they do. But besides that, Sam Rosen, you're a legend. We know what you are.
Yeah, no, I agree. Cherish Sam Rosen. I wish they were able to give him a better season, like entering into retirement, but we are where we are.
If you had a chance to be in the locker room, what advice would you give to the team?
That was
Don't hold back.
yeah, that was, I don't know what to say. That was too slowly.
There's no words. There's no words for the team. That's what I get. Thank you, Miko.
But I do want to turn it over to our guest, Hannah, and I really want her to have the time to just talk about what she's learned from the fans over the past few weeks as we've had her on site doing interviews at MSG. So go ahead and tell us where the fan base is at mentally right now, Hannah.
Okay, so the last game that I went to, I've been to 4 games where I've done on-site work, and the last game was Tampa Bay Lightning. It started off super good. Like I'm sitting in the crowd and I'm making friends all around us. Like we're all talking about the Rangers. I'm sharing Blue Line Station. They see me like getting ready and doing my like notes for the questions because like I'm watching the game and I'm like doing it at the same time. And everyone's energy is good. Up until those 3 goals, like boom, boom, boom. It just goes down. Like it is like a toddler could have felt it. Like it just
It's
goes
like clockwork.
down.
It's
Yeah,
like
it
clockwork.
was like death was in the air. And it was because the score, like for the Rangers, was like death, basically. They died on the ice. And the fans
No, but
afterwards,
actually, like RIP the season. No, like when that happened,
RIP the
RIP
season.
the season.
Like rip. Like I salute the last Rangers season. Like where was that energy? Like I'm waiting for that fire in them. But after talking to fans, like, honestly, it's quite sad. So I'm waiting outside MSG, and I'm looking for people to interview, and everyone is coming out like pissed. Like they are just so disappointed. Heads are down. It's raining too. Like it's also the weather is just like, wow, the New York Rangers are just horrible. Let's just rain all over New York and add to the New Yorkers' sadness with that loss. So most of them, they're like, some of it I couldn't put into the actual video because they're so angry and they're just saying like toddlers on the ice, like the defense is horrible. The coach needs to be fired. Like they're all in the same alignment of like what we've been talking about. But that's like when the fans are like mad because we lost. Now, when they win, like the one before I did it was the Wild, and that was when Gabe Perreault did his debut. Total energy switch. Like everyone like touched the button, was like, okay, we're gonna be happy. So many people came up to want to be interviewed. I didn't even have to go ask. They're like, can we interview? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, let's do it. They wanted to show how much they were so proud of the team because of the losing streak and everything. But yeah, fans go like on one of those seesaw things in like preschool or whatever. Like they will be down and then they'll be up. But honestly, the funnest thing about the fans this last game was all the Europeans in attendance, and like they're watching hockey and they're just visiting New York. And like as a tourist, like I'm just sad for them to see that our team like
No, it's
what
like,
a
because there
horrible
were
way to
people
end
that
the
you
night.
interviewed that came all the way from the Netherlands, and they were like, yeah, no, like while we're here, like we're gonna go to a Rangers game. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I know. I was like, we usually like I wanted to lie and be like, we usually don't lose, but like they can look it up and we do lose. But yeah, Finland, Sweden, and then the Netherlands, like so many people were in attendance. I talked to someone who knew you saw like
Parsonen?
Parsonen. Okay, you saw Parsonen. He was just DMing him. And I was
Huh?
like, "Oh, like, can I interview you?" And he had no words because he was like, that was bad.
No, he
So
was speechless. It was honestly hilarious. But I do want to give you a shout out because for all the listeners listening, like Hannah really does a great job being on site and being able to get that vibe of the fans. And especially with the season they've had, like interviewing the fans is not easy right now. So definitely go check out that content on across our socials and really see what she's doing. But we were really grateful to have her on today. So we're gonna end it like on that note. Like, salute to you, Hannah. So this was episode 2 of the Blue Line Report. Thank you for continuing to watch, continuing to listen, and again, an extra thank you to Hannah and my co-host Jake for joining us.
Like
Catch
and
y'all
subscribe, tell your friends, spread the
share it
word.
everywhere. Let's just put it on all the billboards of Soho to
Yep,
out
Rangers
Blue
season
Line
might be
Station.
over, but podcast season is just getting started.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. So catch y'all
Love.
next time. Tune into all things New York Rangers hockey at bluelinestation.com. We'll end it on this note. It is currently
What's the score?
1-0 as we're recording. I'm gonna say Rangers blow it, and my final score prediction is 3-1 Philadelphia.
Ooh, what about you, Jake?
Oh gosh. I'll be optimistic here since I've been cynical since it doesn't matter. Let's go Rangers. We'll go 5-2. Philly's really not that good defensively, so I'll go Rangers 5-2. But they could lose 5-2 too because that's what they are.
Right. I'm gonna agree with Jake. I'm gonna be optimistic just because Philly's in the 10th spot for wild card. Like they suck. So honestly, like if we lose, that's really even more sad. But I think we'll just squeeze a win in. Not that it will do a lot, but maybe the goal, I think we will be like Philly will get to 2 and New York Rangers 4. Yeah.
I'm Hannah Ing with Blue Line Station. Catch me next time. Tune into all things New York Rangers hockey at bluelinestation.com. Bye.